Welcome to the deep dive. So, you've sent over this great material comparing the origins of Hinduism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Yeah, it's a fascinating look at their early days.
Right. Our mission today is, well, to cut through the complexity a bit. We want to pull out those key differences, maybe some surprising connections in how they started.
Trying to give you that aha moment about their ancient roots without getting bogged down.
Exactly. No getting lost in, endless dates. Okay, let's jump in. Where do we start?
Well, what strikes me first is Hinduism. The term itself, Hinduism, is actually an outsider label, isn't it?
Many followers prefer Sanatana Dharma.
Right, which means something like eternal way or eternal order. It points to this continuous flowing nature.
Which is quite different from the Abrahamic faiths, which have very clear founders or starting points.
Totally. Hinduism doesn't have that single founder or one single scripture everyone points to first or a single central authority. It's more like a family of traditions.
So no Abraham or Moses figure right at the beginning. Where do we look first then? Back to the Indus Valley.
Yeah, way back. Around 2500 BCE, the Indus Valley civilization, we find these interesting artifacts, seals, figurines.
Like the Pashupati seal?
Mm-hmm.
Something that might be a sort of proto-Shiva?
Possibly. And mother goddess figures, other symbolic stones. It hints at early religious practices, though, we can't read their script, so it's interpretation.
Still, it suggests deep roots.
Too.
Then things shift. Around 1750 BCE, the Vedic period.
Correct. You have the arrival of Indo-Aryan speakers, and crucially, the oral tradition of the Vedas. The Rig Veda is the oldest part.
Oral tradition, hymns, and rituals passed down just by word of mouth for centuries. Imagine that.
It's huge. And it shapes how the religion develops, maybe less rigid textually at first compared to, say, Judaism later on.
Okay, so after the Vedas.
Then comes the Upanishadic period, maybe starting around 800 BCE. This is a real shift towards more philosophical thinking.
Internal spirituality, meditation.
Exactly. Key concepts like Atman the self, Brahman the ultimate reality, karma, samsara, moksha, or liberation. It's a deepening.
And then we get the big stories.
Right, the epics and Puranas from about 500 BCE onwards, but the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, including the Bhagavad Gita within the Mahabharata.
Which popularized figures like Vishnu, Shiva, the goddess Devi.
And really foster bhakti, devotional Hinduism, so you see this long, gradual evolution.
Okay, now let's pivot to Judaism. The story feels different from the outset.
It really does. The traditional starting point is Abraham, maybe around 2000 to 1500 BCE.
And the key idea there is the covenant.
Yes, this specific agreement, this pact between Abraham and God, that's fundamental. Then you have the patriarchs, Isaac, Jacob, establishing that lineage.
And the next massive moment is Moses.
Absolutely central. The period in Egypt, the enslavement, and then the Exodus, led by Moses, maybe around 1300, 1200 BCE.
And the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. A foundational law.
A defining moment, and sets up that covenant relationship in a very concrete way, with law at its heart.
Then later, you get the monarchy Saul, David.
David conquering Jerusalem, Solomon building the first temple around 970, 960 BCE, a time of centralization.
But that doesn't last forever. The Babylonian exile.
586 BCE. A disaster, the temple destroyed. But paradoxically, it strengthens Jewish identity.
How so?
Without the temple, the focus shifts even more strongly to scripture, to community, to maintaining identity in diaspora.
Which leads into the Second Temple period, starting around 538 BCE.
Return, rebuilding, but also new influences like Hellenism. You get different Jewish sects forming. Then Roman rule, and eventually
The destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE.
a catastrophe that reshapes Judaism again, leading towards rabbinic Judaism, focused on interpretation, law, and community life without the temple.
Okay, so that sets the stage for Christianity, emerging from that Second Temple Jewish world.
Precisely. In the 1st century CE, you have the life and teachings of Jesus of Nazareth.
His crucifixion, around 3033 CE, and the core belief in his resurrection.
That's the absolute center. Then the apostolic age follows, maybe 30 to 100 CE.
Spreading the message, Peter, Paul. Paul is huge for reaching non-Jews.
Right. And you have early councils, like Jerusalem, figuring out how Jewish law applies to Gentile converts, and of course the writing of the New Testament texts.
Starting as a Jewish sect, but becoming distinct.
Definitely. And then, several centuries later, we turn to Arabia for Islam.
7th century CE, Prophet Muhammad, born around 570 CE in Mecca.
The first revelations come around 610 CE, then a key moment, the Hijra.
The migration to Medina in 622 CE. That's year 1 of the Islamic calendar.
It marks the formation of the first Ummah, the Muslim community, as a distinct entity.
And in Medina, the community takes shape, religiously and politically.
Yes, there are key battles, like Badr, eventually the conquest of Mecca in 630 CE.
Muhammad dies soon after, 632 CE.
And that leads to the period of the Rashidun Caliphate, the first four rightly guided caliphs.
And this is when the Quran is compiled into its final form.
Exactly. And the early, very rapid expansion of Islam begins.
So looking back across all four, the differences really stand out.
Oh, definitely. Hinduism's gradual evolution, no single founder, that strong early oral tradition.
Compared to the Abrahamic faiths with their central figures, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and the covenants.
And the much earlier emphasis on foundational written scripture in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, even if oral tradition was also important.
And the timelines are just vastly different. Hinduism stretching back millennia.
Judaism's roots maybe 4,000 years ago, Christianity emerging 2,000 years ago, Islam 1,400 years ago.
The pace of development and spread also seems quite varied. Christianity and Islam spread remarkably quickly in their early centuries.
Yeah, he did. It's fascinating to see these different models, continuous evolution versus specific revelation and founding figures, and how that shaped everything that follows.
Absolutely. Well, that was a whirlwind tour, but hopefully a useful one through those foundational years, highlighting the unique paths.
And some interesting comparisons, too. Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you listening.
Yeah.
Considering these complex, sometimes messy beginnings, the interpretations, the archaeology, the texts, what does this variety tell us about, well, the human drive to make meaning?
How societies build these frameworks over such long periods.
Exactly. And maybe, what could future discoveries, archaeological or textual, reveal that might shift our understanding of these ancient roots even further? Something to ponder?